president calls you, what do? You simply accept. So I'm glad to be here. After a long time. Well, I know we'll talk about that later. But it is good to be here with you. Mr. President, I want to commend you for your very beautiful and detailed acceptance speech and your program for the year. I'm not surprised because that is the tradition of Ikeja Lions. So I want to thank you for holding the very high standard that Ikeja Lions Club is voted for. The president gave me the leeway to choose a topic to speak on. So I'm going to speak on old-time language, which I think is very apt for this moment, because it makes it easy for me to go down the memory lane and share with you some of the experiences that we have as Ikeja Lions Club. I will not bore you with the fact that you all know and you are familiar with that the Lions Club International has about 1.4 million members all over the world across about 200 countries and geographic territories. But I will also focus a lot on Ikeja Lions Club. Ikeja Lions Club, as you know, was chartered in 1980. 5 years later, 1985, I had the privilege to be invited to the meeting, and subsequently I became a member of this great club. In 5 years, the Ikeja Lions Club had broken so many records. It had a reputation and maintained that reputation within the district as a club with quality members, quality projects, and one of the largest clubs at that time, because I know that in the 1980s we rose to about 100 members. Wow. Yeah. So Ikeja Lions Club at that time was commonly referred to as the club or the 4-in-1 club, because with 25 members you can form a club. For that. Of course, we know that the Victorian Lion Ikeja Lions Club Lions in Nigeria, may so rest in peace. We also know that in the Ikeja Lions Club, less than 5 years after the club was chartered, we produced the first district government in the person of Lion architect Lionism. 2 years later, we produced another district government in the person of Lion Steady Athawari. Both of them of blessed memory, but Mrs. Athawari is still very much alive, and last week or thereabouts celebrated 97 years. We happen to attend the same church twice. Now, but with Lionism, everything did not go so smoothly. So by the time Lion Baju handed over to Lion Iwamu, and before Lion Athawari could take over, we had national crisis. And it did not emanate from us here. What happened was that an international director was chosen for Africa. And it happened from South Africa. And if you remember at that time, there was apartheid South Africa. So the district governor, Iwamu, who was a lawyer, and a few people did not feel comfortable about it. So he took ultimately, we escaped the sanctions. But the crisis made us to lose lions from Edo State, from Delta State. They all resigned en masse because women was for that period. So for so many years, we had no lions in Edo State, in Delta State, until so many years later when we started going back. When you talk of quality membership, I'll just mention a few members who are there at that time. We'll talk of Lion Laiwola Balogun, who is a renowned architect. He was a prominent Ibadan chief. Had he lived much longer, he would have become a Ibadan because he was very high up. He was also a presidential candidate, presidential aspirant at the time, before he died. We'll talk about Pastor Warren, who was Attorney General at the time. We'll talk of Chief Adeyemi Biro, who was Secretary to the Government of Lagos State. We'll talk of Justice Ago, who was the Chief Judge of Lagos State and was still a member at that time. And there was another justice again, Justice Desari. You may have heard of Lionel Bushi. He was general manager in Guinness. And he made sure that he invited so many people from Guinness to join, that we had, at the point we had about 3-4 directors of Guinness in this. We ultimately had the MD of Guinness, Chief Alabi, who later became the chairman of Guinness. We had somebody like Lam Tokumbali, who was fondly called Salam Salam, factory worker. He controlled a number of Chinese companies in Nigeria, including Oriental Hotel. So we had all that. Of course, you know well. I will mention one that you know very well, Lion Balogun. He was the general manager of LSDPC in Lagos here. So that was the quality of members we had in the time. That the club was respected all over Nigeria. What about the projects? We carried out so many projects. On the expressway, we built an emergency clinic there and commissioned it, and he killed it and bought brand new ambulance. That location is presently being used by road safety, federal road safety. We also donated ambulances to so many places and so on. So Ikeja Lions Club has contributed substantially to the progress of Lionism in Nigeria. Well, we did all that without having the advantage we have today, which is the social media. We did not have even email at that time. No Instagram, no Facebook, no WhatsApp, which I know now is helping in mobilizing members and even holding your meetings, particularly when we had COVID. Everybody, so many people had to rely on this to be able to. So I've told you what happened in the 80s, and of course, in the years to follow, the Federal Lions Club also produced more district governors, Lion Jai Balogun, Lion Takudia, and my humble self became district governor in the years that followed. In 2007, let me bring it back home a little bit. You know that for so long, we had only one district in Nigeria. This is 4 of it. The battle for the position of district governor was tense. We could start from January to June. It was so controversial, it was so difficult. But still, because of that, because I witnessed the coming of Lion whatever Arthur Worry, many of us thought we would never attempt to do the government. So that was my position. I didn't want to be. But we held a meeting somewhere because we commissioned one of the high centers built by Lions. And somehow some people met together and said, "Who against me?" I didn't even know. And before I knew, my name was raised as a candidate for the Sudan. But I told them I would have a way to escape. Because once another candidate showed up, I would quickly come out. But no candidate showed up. So I was elected second by the Sudan. But my prayer was answered later. Because that same year, before the end of that year, I was appointed as pastor. So I had a valid excuse. I told them I would not be in the country, so I wanted to resign. Somehow, that was not possible. So I had to, in 2010, I had to combine the two. I was in Cuba and I was shot into Nigeria and briefly to operate. I was, my set was, we held our training in Australia, in Sydney, Australia. That was where we were sworn in as district governor. And I handed over in Seattle, in the US, when I completed my time. But one interesting thing happened, and that's why I mentioned my time in Cuba. Past international director, Manuel Shah, I think he's contending to the international president now. At one of the international fora, invited me because the international president that year wanted to see me. And the matter they tabled before me was because Cuba, at that time, had no Lions Club. This was because of its conflict with the United States. So they were looking at the possibility of reactivating that organization in Cuba at that time. And we held that meeting and we had a program, and I think the rest is history. But fortunately, before I left Cuba, the president was elected, and he had a vision to resolve that conflict. So Obama took it upon himself, and in a period of about 6 years, he resolved all the issues, and the severe relation between the two countries was resolved, and then they were able to have full international and diplomatic relations at the highest level, at ambassadorial level. So in 2016, Obama visited Cuba, and then they resolved that. But it was fleeting success, because the following year, 2016, Trump got there and severed the relationship again. Anyway, that is there. So, fellow Lions, I want to appreciate many of you for your commitment in keeping the flag of Ikeja Lions flying. I want to encourage you to continue as you have started. This evening I was pleasantly delighted with what I saw, with the report from the president and from all the members, and it shows that in the almost 40 years that I've been in Lionism, we have managed to maintain the standard. I think we deserve